Before we dive in, I want to shout out Raycon for sponsoring today's video. Raycon sent me a pair of these everyday earbuds, and I've got to say, I'm impressed. I've been wearing these around the house, listening to game music to get myself amped and pumped when I'm doing chores, and honestly, I barely notice that they're in my ears at all, despite how awkward and large my ears can be. They have these gel tips that are quite comfortable, and the earbuds have this slick rubber oil look and feel to them as well. These rock a 32-hour battery life with 8 hours of playtime, and there's a built-in mic inside so you can take calls if you need to. What I was also really impressed with is that Raycon start at half the price of other premium audio brands I've tried, and they sound just as good too. Raycons also come with a 45-day happiness guarantee, so you really have nothing to worry about. So if you want to give these bad boys a try, click the link in the box down below or go to buyraycon.com/completionist to get 50% off your Raycon purchase. Again, that's buyraycon.com/completionist to get 15% off your Raycon order. Thanks again for Raycon for sponsoring today's video, and now on with the show. Some things are just better with a friend. A burger and fries, an improv comedy scene, a long car ride to the lake to dump what's in your trunk, where you swear to each other that no matter what happens, you'll always keep that secret. Way better with someone else. And video games are no exception. Now don't get me wrong, I love deep and involved solo narratives where I can be taken on a journey where it's just me and the game designers. But some of my absolute favorite memories of my life were made playing co-op games with friends. This is my list of my top 10 co-op games. Stuff that can be completed with a partner or online. As usual, this list is mine and mine alone, and I cannot wait to hear about your favorite co-op titles and memories of beating them with your friends in the comments down below. So without any more dilly-dallying, let's get on into it.
Number 10.
Imagine if two dudes were humanity's only hope against ramping alien warlords. Just two dudes with gigantic machine guns and headbands. Two dudes who could grab into missiles and ride into the sunset, because it's the most awesome thing that anyone could possibly come up with. What if I told you that you don't have to imagine it? Because Contra III: The Alien Wars exists, and you can play through the entire side-scrolling bullet hell shooter in couch co-op on the Super Nintendo. Contra is a series that's had its ups and downs, but Contra III is the complete package. It's short but still challenging, even with a second player and extra lives. The presentation is incredibly memorable, as this was the first Contra built for the Super NES. Mode 7 is still cool as shit. I mean, come on. This game defined a lot of Contra elements going forward, like hanging from the ceiling, and did I mention riding missiles into the oblivion with your friends? But the main reason why Contra 3 is on this list is because I will always remember one of the best times I had completing this game with my friend Proton John. We were in a hotel room in Texas at SGC 2013. I had this insane idea to complete a game during that weekend, and John was down. We memorized and mastered everything to complete this game on the hardest difficulty to see that secret ending. And then we did it again recently last year during the pandemic, because bros never leave their bros behind, especially when the rest of humanity is at stake.
Number 9.
There's a certain type of game where if I'm in a social situation and the opportunity arises, I will drop everything to play it. Like a few years back, before the pandemic just body slammed, well, everything, I had a birthday party at this awesome barcade. The drinks were good and the company was definitely great, but the best part was that at the corner of my eye, I saw sight of 3 separate arcade cabinets that I knew I'd be spending the most time of the night pouring quarters into. The first, X-Men. The next, The Simpsons. And my favorite of all, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. Now, what do all 3 of these have in common? Konami. Because as easy as it is to dunk on Konami as a publisher these days, the licensed arcade beat-em-ups from 1988 to 1993, aka the golden age of beat-em-ups, are undeniably some of the best co-op experiences I've ever had. There is something magical about rolling into an arcade with 4 friends and getting everyone on the 6 at the same time to tackle one of these beasts. Because beat-em-ups are such a flexible genre, it was an easy way for Konami to pump out different flavors of games under unique licenses. They should all feel kind of the same, but each one is distinct, memorable, and insanely fun to play. Even the SNES ports were handled really well. Again, say what you will about Konami, but they knew how to wring the most out of the console's shortcomings with new music and content. It's still a blast to fire up TMNT on a Super Nintendo, even if the arcade cabinets had a little bit more power. It might only be 2 players instead of 4 with the console version, but to me, Turtles in Time is still essentially the basic standard to which all other beat-em-ups are held up to. I mean this completely. TMNT Turtles frozen time woke me up from a coma. Not like this game helped me through a creative rut. Literally, this game woke me up from an actual coma. It's that powerful.
Number 8.
A lot of great co-op games require more than 2 players, but are often totally beatable with just 2. Yet there is a certain type of co-op experience that is enhanced by having a full group. Nowhere is this more true than in Left 4 Dead and its sequel Left 4 Dead 2, the definitive zombie survival shooters made by Valve. Some of the most well-designed games of their generation, there are many reasons why Left 4 Dead set such a high standard. At a glance, Left 4 Dead is the kind of surefire, no-brainer concept that makes you wonder why no one did it before. A group of 4 survivors must make it from one end of a level to another through a horde of increasingly ferocious infected. Along the way, players find different weapons and healing items, and the whole goal is to keep your group alive. It's endless fun, and this is coming from someone who played this series for dozens of hours even before I completed the second one for the Completionist. But just how did Valve make a game that is so fun to play every single time? The secret is in the incredibly smart game design all throughout. The advanced artificial intelligence, called the Director, creates a dynamic difficulty setting which adjusts depending on how well your group is playing. I always felt challenged because even though infected are pretty easy to kill overall, the game would throw in a tank or some other variant to keep us on our toes. Most amazingly, I love that this game never takes the controller away from you. Once you're in the game, it never lets up, and all characterization comes from in-game dialogue and actual gameplay. It's a fantastic experience with a full group of 4 people, and I'm actually super hyped for the upcoming Back 4 Blood, which was created by several people who worked on Left 4 Dead. If they can recapture even a tiny bit of that magic that made these games great, I will be satisfied.
Number 7.
This next entry is one of my absolute favorite multiplayer and co-op experiences of all time, but I also can't talk about it without going down a rabbit hole of conspiracies. Because what Nintendo came up with for Mario Kart Double Dash is so brilliant, so unceasingly joyful, that all I want to know is why. Why hasn't the central mechanic ever been brought back? What is even happening? For this Mario Kart, released on the GameCube in 2003, Nintendo went all out. Karts had different weight classes, and there were several characters that had never been in a Mario Kart game before. That alone would have just made for a fun update on what was then a classic established formula. But no, Nintendo did one better. They made it so that 2 players could cooperatively play on one kart. This single decision is one of my favorite things that ever happened to Mario Kart, and I'm so mad that it has never been brought back for future versions. So you're still doing all the normal Mario Kart things, right? Speeding through amazing tracks, throwing items at other players, but in Double Dash, one player drives and the other handles items, and this can be swapped over with the touch of a button. So if I knew a track really well, but let's say my friend Austin Creed, aka Xavier Woods, who I completed this game with, is the one driving, we can simply swap places. So I'm in the driver's seat and he's the one holding items. Players still have to work together to achieve first place, and learning how to get blue sparks with another real live human sitting on the couch next to you is an incredible feeling. And it all just works. Character choices really do matter because players gain access to different unique special items depending on which racer they have. And of course, there's the weight factor to consider. I love that this entire racing game can be completed in co-op, making it way more hype and way more fun overall. But what blows my mind is that 18 years later, again, 18 years later, they still haven't brought back the 2 racers per kart mechanic. We're at Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at this point, on the Switch, a console that comes shipped with 2 detachable controllers, and it still hasn't come back. I hope to God that changes in the future.
Number 6.
I love when video games have that one entry in a long-running series that decides to swerve in a completely different direction than what was established before it. It's even better when that swerve takes a game into co-op territory. And it's best when that co-op territory is blasting zombies with your friends and occasionally punching them in the face. That's right, I'm talking about Resident Evil 5, a game that unfairly gets a lot of hate today. People act like Resident Evil 5 is the first Resident Evil game that did full-on action. It's not completely true. Resident Evil 4 has full-on action sequences, and the first 3 mainline games all have sections that are way more heavy on the action than horror. Now that Village has come out, I think that a lot of people have been going back to 5 to see how Chris Redfield's character compares. What they'll find is a pretty kick-ass co-op completion experience, even if it doesn't feel that scary overall. It might not be outright horror, but playing this game through with a friend feels like watching a B-level horror movie and yelling at the screen. It's a blast to save your partner from a horde of zombies, and then go down and have them save you. What this game lacks in scares challenges it makes up with for exciting gameplay. This game was fully designed around 2-player co-op. In fact, even if you try to play it solo, the game saddles you with an AI companion. Let me be clear, if you played this game with a computer player, you're probably gonna have a bad time. Not the worst time, just a bad time. The difference between playing with an AI partner versus a human companion is stark. Everything from the item management and stop and start shooting is extremely well done with two people. Trading items to each other is simple but an effective way to make sure you feel connected to your partner, and the entire game is full of moments like that. Overall, Resident Evil 5 doesn't overstay its welcome, and it's a fantastic way to spend a weekend with a good friend.
Number 5.
Most of the time, I think of co-op games as a way to experience a narrative in a new way or to chill out with my friends. Keep talking and nobody explodes is the exact opposite of both those things. And yet somehow, this bomb defusal VR game is one of the most explosive ways to experience co-op I've ever played. Most of the other games on this list involve the player and one or more others trying to reach a goal by shooting or platforming or battling until the very end. Keep Talking has one person in the headset, and success or failure is solely determined by how well you and your team can communicate. There's an amazing video of a couple bomb defusal experts tackling this game, and it is hilarious to contrast to people who do this for a living with average Joes like me and my friends. Staying calm in the face of an explosion is a valuable skill, but it's also stupidly entertaining to just utterly fail. This is among the most unique co-op experiences I've ever had, and if you have a VR setup, I wholeheartedly recommend getting a small group together for this.
Number 4.
There are games that are perfect that don't need a sequel. They exist as standout monuments to design, and the fact that the developers showed restraint proves that not everything needs to be turned into a franchise or cash cow. And then there's Portal 2, which is such an incredible achievement that it makes me rethink that entire statement. Portal is pretty much as close as you can get to a perfect game, so what could Portal 2 possibly add to make it a must-play? The answer, obviously, is co-op. Portal 2's co-op is unbelievably enjoyable. It seems like it would be overly complicated to implement, but the way it's folded into the game is brilliant. Putting co-op into Portal feels risky, but Valve completely pulls it off. I wasn't sure what I would think about the co-op, but me and my friend Dev2000 had a blast figuring out the puzzles and earning the unique achievements. The solutions involving 4 separate portals made us feel like super geniuses, which is not something I get to say very often. The design is executed perfectly. This is on top of the presentation, which is genuinely funny. The 2 robot playable characters might not have dialogue, but they are plenty expressive. And everything about the co-op is geared towards making you feel like you and your partner are totally in sync with one another. There is even a dedicated high five button, which rules. Going forward, every co-op game should have the option to high five your buddy whenever you'd like. Portal 2 shouldn't work, but it totally does. It's a masterclass of design intention and execution. And even though the co-op campaign isn't the whole experience, it is just as thought out as the main game. Valve proves they fully understand what makes co-op enjoyable and engaging at every level.
Number 3.
I can admit that a lot of these co-op experiences are colored by nostalgia. Not everyone experienced Konami beat-em-ups at the arcade as a kid like I did, or Left 4 Dead in a college dorm room at the height of its popularity. But even fully acknowledging the nostalgic glasses, Secret of Mana is without a doubt one of my favorite co-op games. Do I talk about Secret of Mana a lot in this channel? Maybe. Is it one of my favorite games of all time? One that I can replay on my own time once a year? Yes. Characters are awesome, music is one of the best soundtracks on the SNES, and the art direction of the original is stunning. Best of all, if you have a patient partner, you can nearly play this entire game in co-op. Secret of Mana is probably the first prominent action RPG to feature 3-player co-op and actually do it well. Instead of a beat 'em up or hack and slash, Secret of Mana is a full-blown RPG, a genre that at that time didn't feature a lot of multiplayer. But Secret of Mana goes for it, allowing other players to jump in or out of combat at any time. It's amazing to share this game with another person, even if the exploration part doesn't really work with multiple players at any given moment. But letting others join in on the combat is really enjoyable and still feels very unique to this day. I've completed this game multiple times. The co-op is something that doesn't always come up right away when discussing Secret of Mana, but it absolutely should. This game is a legend, and the co-op is just one more reason why. All right, maybe I've got a little bit of those nostalgic glasses still clouding my judgment here, but I think I love this game a lot, so yeah.
Number 2.
All right, real talk. I'm a man of a certain age at this point, an age where maybe nothing was cooler than wanting to be in a band. Because yeah, who doesn't want to be in a band? Who doesn't want to raise their fist to the sky, guitar pick at the ready, and strike down a righteous chord that shakes the very foundation of society? For those about to rock, but that would be an alternate reality. Though honestly, I'd settle for being in a kick-ass ska band from high school. I was in one, and yeah, it's a big part of who I am. Guitar Hero and later Rock Band, in all of their sequels and song packs and spin-offs, are probably some of the best co-op experiences ever created. The entire existence of these franchises feel like a time capsule. Almost everyone I know who's in my age group has like at least 2 or 3 of those plastic guitars, or even the drum sets lying around in a garage or attic somewhere. But though Guitar Hero and Rock Band are probably more known nowadays for thrift store items, for a few glorious years, we all became rock and roll legends. These games have everything: a high skill ceiling for psychopaths like me who want to shred so hard it hurts, and easier instruments like the bass guitar or vocals for people at the party who just want to have a low-key good time. Almost anyone at any level can jump into these musical games and have a blast. Everyone can play at the same time and still have their own tailored experience. Plus, you can play Chop Suey from System of a Down in Rock Band 2, and that is objectively the best thing that's ever happened in a video game. Harmonix did something incredible when they developed Guitar Hero, basically integrating the falling jewel style of music game in something that wasn't Dance Dance Revolution. It's nearly impossible to imagine a rhythm game without this system. Though Guitar Hero and Rock Band are essentially more on the dead side, these series are still mainstays at any kind of big party. Maybe it was a case of too much too quickly, and it did get a recent reboot on both ends that I'm not the most stoked about. But hey, maybe it's time. Maybe I am more than ready to see this series get one more shot.
Number 1.
I've talked a lot on the Completionist over the years about how my friends are important to me. Having a lifelong friendship is a real blessing and something I'm grateful for every day. It's easy to recommend co-op games when you have a group of people around you who are ready and willing to support each other in everything, especially people who can help me succeed in completing online multiplayer co-op games like the Borderlands franchise. On its own, Borderlands is a competent series of sci-fi first-person shooters with an edgy sense of humor and distinct cel-shaded art style. But with friends, it's a masterpiece. I've completed the first Borderlands for the Completionist twice now over the years, and even though I've spent cumulatively hundreds of hours playing games in this franchise, I can't remember a time where I wasn't having fun with it. That is purely because of the company I've kept. Playing a Borderlands game with friends is a transcendent experience. Winning requires the perfect blend of skill and cooperation to succeed at high levels, but they're chill enough that me and 3 other people can feel like we're just hanging out. With 4 players, Borderlands as a franchise is the perfect way to catch up with friends and still blow off some steam by shooting people. That sounds way more darker than I meant it to be. I am incredibly grateful for the nights spent shooting the breeze and homicidal cyborg psychos with my pals. It's an absolute blast. Just talk about sharing the loot, please. Don't just take it. Come on, be respectful. So there you have it. Those are my favorite top 10 co-op games. Don't forget to tell me yours in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and see you all next time.